Hi, and welcome to episode 21 of the Living Tantra podcast. Today, I am here with a very, very special guest, my dear friend, and an incredible business and I would say leader for conscious business in the world at this time, Amanda Pua Walsh. So I'm going to introduce you formally first. Amanda is the founder of Astrology Hub, which is a global online resource for astrological education and guidance. Astrology Hub reaches hundreds of thousands of people. She's the host of the Astrology Hub podcast with over 5 million downloads. She's also the reason that the Living Tantra podcast is alive today. She basically said to me, "It's time for you to do a podcast." And a month later, with the assistance of my amazing assistant, Carolini, Living Tantra podcast was born. Amanda is also a very, very dear friend. We've raised our children together. We've had many adventures throughout the Big Island of Hawaii and all over the world, actually. And yeah, Amanda, you're just a sister that I so deeply respect in all your skills and your gifts and what you've manifested in the world, and simultaneously what you're living in the more intimate internal levels of your life. Welcome.
Such an honor to be here. And it's partially true what you said, that the Living Tantra podcast exists because of me. I would say there was a spark from me, but you're the one who made it happen. So not everybody does that. And so I need to give you credit for that. And yes, you are such a dear friend. And it is so amazing to be here with your audience and your community. And I'm very honored. Thank you.
Oh. So I know you're known throughout the world in connection to astrology. And if I do my job well here today, I want to kind of strip you of that identity a little bit and reveal the ways that astrology is really just confirmation for you, that you are living from an internal guidance system that is contiguous throughout your life. It expresses in your business, it expresses in your personal life, it expresses in your most internal connection with all that is sacred. Can you speak a little bit to us about how you keep that continuity alive for you?
Essentially, astrology is a huge tool for me for that, because like you said, it's confirmation. I continually get confirmation from the information in my blueprint, my cosmic blueprint that continues to be like a North Star, a compass, a guidance. And it's a continual check-in process. It's never done. There's never I'm now continuous in all aspects of my life. There's continuity between everything at all times. It's a continual dance. And that question of, does this feel aligned? Does this feel true? What feedback is my body giving me as I'm deciding between this or that, or, to do a new project or to engage in something else? It's like, what is my body telling me? Does this feel right? Does this feel true? And then when I don't know, allowing that pause. And I'm not perfect at any of this. There's also that allowing for making mistakes and messing up, and letting that also be a part of being continuous, with myself.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have to do it right all the time, right, quote unquote. And I don't have to nail it every time to know that I'm on my path. Oftentimes it's when I'm getting the most feedback when things aren't going perfectly well. So I've had to really redefine what it means to be living in alignment with my heart or my truth, because I used to think that would mean that things are working really well, that it's easy and it's flowing and it's graceful. It's like, well, not necessarily, actually. And so just having that that level of, I mean, to me, that is grace. That
Yeah.
is when I can be okay with that. That is where the ease comes from. When I'm resisting that is when it's not, when it's not easy and it's not graceful. So it's just a reorientation, I feel, that I've gone through myself in terms of what it looks like when you're in that dance with yourself.
Okay, so 3 things I'm hearing from you. One is getting feedback from your body, getting direct information. The second is being okay not knowing. And the third is making mistakes. And you're suggesting, and I would agree with you, that grace emerges through our ability to be with all 3 of those, not resisting or softening against ourselves when we're resisting. Is that accurate?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I know that different people have different feedback mechanisms. For me, it's like very much in my body. But I know that for some people, they have different kind of decision-making barometers within themselves. And I think it's really important for us to know what that is for ourselves. But yeah.
Okay. I want to ask you a more specific question, because I think a lot of people from a distance see you and you're just amazing. You're happy all the time. You're full of love. You're doing amazing work in the world. Life just must be perfect for you. And I know that you have your challenges. I know that you have moments when you don't know, when you completely are lost for what to do. Can you speak a little bit about the difference between prioritizing work or our service in the world first versus prioritizing ourselves first and letting our service become an expression of that?
Whew, this is a big one for me. It's like, I feel like I am continually in the learning process with this because my work is my mission currently. So it threads through everything. It threads through the way I mother. It threads through the way I show up in my partnership. It threads through everything. So it's impossible to like divorce myself from the mission and from what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. However, I've recently had the realization that certain things that I before wouldn't consider productive or things that need to be prioritized, like my physical body, for example, like that always feels, it always feels like I need to fit in my workout or fit in my training. And I realized that that is such a distortion, really, because if my physical body isn't healthy and conducting light and energy and strong, then there is no mission. And it's the one thing I can't outsource. There's nobody that can do that for me. There's nobody that can show up and do the tending to my own garden. And so this is this thing that it's like so culturally embedded in us that certain things are productive and other things are not. And I'm having to realize that I am the source of the mission. And so, and I don't mean that I don't have a team. I don't mean that there's other people not helping me, but I just mean whatever role I'm playing to facilitate the mission, I have to take care of myself in order to do it. And there's been a few things that have happened recently where my back has given out and I'm like floored for several days. And in that position, it's like, oh, wow, I can't do much from here, but it's hard for me to get up and go to the bathroom. So I need to actually make this a devotion as much as every aspect of my work, the devotion to myself. And so these days, whenever I have this particular training that I'm doing, that's actually a very like building from the ground up foundational thing. It feels like going back to kindergarten in a way, which is where I need to be right now. Just
Right.
like
This is someone who's been an athlete and a dancer your entire life. Yeah.
yes, but it's humbling. This back thing has been very humbling. So when I start, just like if before I start a podcast episode with an astrologer or any broadcast or our team meetings, I check in with myself and I create a field of intention for my training. And I assert that this is my devotion to my dancing, singing, creative self. And that just sets the stage in a whole different way than the way that I used to do it, where it's like, God, I got to fit it in. Like I have 45 minutes to like get a workout done. It's like, ooh, that's not so aligned. That's not so continuous. So there's always these new layers of tendrils of ourselves that are still stuck in the old way of doing things. And every time I excavate one of those, it is a celebration. It's like, wow, that's huge. And this is reorienting myself in a whole new way. Does that answer your question?
Totally. And you just gave me an insight. So is it fair to say that part of your continuity in your innermost life, your immediate life, and your outer life has to do with including ritual in all the levels?
Oh, yes. Ritual. And for me, it's very simple. I don't, it's not elaborate. It's like taking that moment to just like, and I'm going to use a word that sometimes feels religious, but I don't mean it religious anymore. Bless the space, bless, just have an awareness of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that keeps my work continuous. That keeps my mothering continuous. That keeps my relationship continuous. But it's actually, the trick is remembering to do that. Because there's often times where I'll get through something and be like, oh my God, I never even set the intention. I never took that pause. And so the ritual, incorporating that ritual in as many things as possible. I mean, like to me, it's a everyday sacred practice, because it can happen at the first thing when you wake up in the morning, and it can be as simple as thank you. Wow, I'm alive. Thank you. Before going to bed, oh, thank you for this day. And whoever you're saying thank you to, it could be thank you to yourself. It could be thank you to, for me, I'm, in dialogue with the planets and the archetypes all the time, which I know are just inside of me. They're not really outside of me. So I'm just in this dialogue with the universe. And so I thank the universe, but yes, ritual is huge.
I love what you said about blessing the space. The way I experience ritual is it's localizing all of me, my physical body, my energetic bodies, my etheric connections, my emotional body, localizing me into one space so that I can receive the full blessing that I am.
Ooh, yes, I couldn't have said it better. It's interesting because in astrology, one of the most important configurations is the cross of matter. So it's the north, south, east, west, and in the middle of it is you. And what you just said is that process of localizing yourself in the center of those things. And it's amazing to me how much that symbol has shown up throughout history, that cross, sometimes distorted on purpose, to me, I think, very much purposefully. But when it's equal and balanced, that we are the center of that cross, that's where we go from duality to quadrality. And we're experiencing all the dimensions of ourselves. Yes. And so what you just said about ritual, just localizing yourself in yourself, it is exactly what it is. All these different layers of yourself right here. I'm right here, right now. And this is what we're doing. It's such a co-creative thing. It's inviting the co-creative process to actually happen.
Yes. It's including ourselves in the co-creative process that's happening.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. I don't know what the exact question is, but when you talk about your relationship with the cosmos, with the universe, something different opens up. And I know this because I've been in ritual space with you in hula and all of that. There's a different access that opens to you when you acknowledge your relationality to what is both seen and unseen. Can you speak a little bit more to that and how you thread that through all the layers of your life?
It makes me cry even hearing you say it, because I've recently had a realization about the word universe, because I was contemplating the word God. And I was like, God, what is the frequency of the word God? And I was doing the dishes thinking about this. I was like, because I often don't use that word. And it's like, why don't I use it? Like, what is the vibration? Like, for example, the vibration of the word aloha feels very high to me. It's like always been a word I want to use. So I was contemplating God, and then I came to the word universe. And I was like, God, what does universe even mean? Uni, okay, one, like one. Verse, okay, I know that that's associated with music. So I looked it up, and it's essentially any sort of rhythmic phrase that either is within poetry or in song. So it literally is like, oh my gosh, the universe is the one song. Whoa. So when we're in alignment with the one song, that is, we are contributing our song to the one song. And there's no difference between our song and the one song, but we're harmonizing with the universe. And there's, when I'm in the space of acknowledgement of the depth of that, and the beauty of that, it takes my breath away.
Yes.
And it's
And
a place that, go ahead. Yeah.
everything is included. There's nothing that's outside of that or not good enough to be a part of that or too dark to be, but everything has its place within the one song.
Yes. And that, to me, it's breathtaking. And it is a mystery that continues to reveal itself every single day in my life. And what I've noticed is that all I had to do was ask the question, who are you? What is this? Who am I? And then it just reveals itself layer upon layer upon layer, and it's endless. So to me, I remember being 11 years old, and 10, 11, I can't remember exactly, but it was around 10, 11, looking in the mirror. I had this little, like, those old fashioned where women would sit to do their makeup, and then there was like the vanity, like a vanity mirror.
Vanity mirror, yeah.
I loved it. And I remember just sitting and staring into my own eyes and just saying, who are you? Like, who are you? And so I feel that question and that quest, it has so met me in surprising and delightful and amazing ways throughout my life. And so it's, again, I'm sort of forgetting your question, but it's like asking, being in awe and wonder, and continually asking that question of like, who are you? Like, reveal yourself to me. I'm ready to receive whatever layer of you that you're ready to show me. And when you're saying this to yourself, which is when it just gets so trippy, it's continually mind-blowing. And to me, it's like, that's one of the things I noticed when I first got into astrology, is that the people I was interviewing were so alive. They were so excited about what they were sharing. And these people had been doing this for decades. And that was curious to me, because I'd come from this corporate world where, like, by year 20, you're like, when can I retire? Like, counting the days, And here I meet these people that are like, they would do this if they were getting paid or not. And they are showing up with so much enthusiasm. And it's like, God, like, I want some of that. That's amazing. And what I've realized is, it is this being in a dance with the universe. Like, what could be more exciting than that?
Mm-hmm. And so it's also so innate to who you are. I mean, this question, who are you? That's how you are. With me, with everyone I know you with, is this innate curiosity. It's why you're such an amazing interviewer. This innate curiosity to really know who and what is in front of you. And when you shared that story about yourself sitting in front of your vanity mirror, saying, who are you? I just kept hearing, who am I not? Again, that inclusivity that simply links all of us in our universal experience.
Exactly. It's why I love what I do, because it transcends all boundaries. And it celebrates both our individuality and our shared humanity at the same time. And to me, there's no more true and beautiful expression than that. It's like, know what your song is, sing that to your fullest. And I don't literally mean sing, I'm sure your audience is tracking what I'm saying.
Totally.
And yeah, I don't have to like caveat that.
No.
And contribute it to the whole. And when we do that, things work and they're beautiful and they're harmonious. And it doesn't mean we're not going to have any problems.
Okay, so wait. So what about when my song kind of rubs up against your song and doesn't sound so good or doesn't feel so good to you or to me? Or
that's the part of the music that gets really interesting. I mean, if you think about it, like think about the songs where there's that tension and you're like, ooh, God, like, I don't know if I like this or if I hate this, if I want to turn this off or if I want to keep it going. I mean, to me, that's part of it. And that's amazing. And that's where we then usually in music, that sort of tension point finds a release at some point. It doesn't stay tense forever. There's like that point where it's like you think you can't handle anymore, and then it elevates into an entirely new level. And then it's like, oh, okay, like I'm through that fog, or I'm through that conflict, and through that I can see more clearly.
Okay. I'm going to ground all of this in a way, just because I know this is how you live. So that idea of looking at someone and saying, who are you? Or like seeing ourselves in another. Give us an example from your life of a moment when, like, you don't need to tell details, but when it's really, really difficult to do that, like you absolutely have hatred for the person standing in front of you, or you cannot own the place in you that's being reflected by this person or their actions or something. And just speak to us a little bit from that place.
Yeah, I would say in the last couple of years, I think all of us, myself included, have had to hit that place over and over. Kate, I have a really hard time with the word hate. But like from the time I was little, I mean, we've had lots of conversations about this, but from the time I was little, my mom would just, there's no such thing as hate. You can strongly dislike, you can really not want to be around a person, but hate, So anyways, it's been challenging because I've had so many times where I'd get to that point of like, I'm here to understand you. And I'm just waiting for that question. Who are you? Like, why do you see it that way? And that question would never come. So wow, this is a really interesting question. So when it's impossible, when it feels impossible to even want to know who are you, I don't get there very often, honestly.
I know.
Because usually I still have some thread of curiosity. Usually it's like, wow, how could you be that full of hate? Or, how could you be like, and there's a curiosity there. Like, I kind of want to know, like, I kind of want to understand that. But with that said, it's not like I get along deeply with every single person that I engage with. There's very few people in my life that I feel can meet me at that level of curiosity about each other and the world. And we can like even tumble in the unknown together and in the like discomfort together. It's actually quite rare. So a lot of people in my life, there's a kindness and an openness, but there's not that depth. that
Okay,
depth
hold on.
actually, yeah.
You just coined a phrase, tumbling in the discomfort together. So
Yes.
to tumble in the discomfort with someone, that takes a level of safety first within yourself.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. That is something that to me is almost like within the innermost chamber of intimacy, is
Yes.
that ability to say, like, in each showing up in complete vulnerability. But that doesn't again, that doesn't happen with everyone. It's interesting because even in the last couple of years, there were a few situations where a space was open to be vulnerable and share from the heart, but it wasn't held in a way that ultimately felt safe. And I walked away from those situations going, that space wasn't held in a way that made me feel safe, and I'm not going to do that again. Like it's not that I'm closing my heart to all. It's just that I'm closing that really intimate space to a place that isn't meeting me at the frequency that I need in order to go there.
Okay,
And so
so what you're
recognizing that in myself, like I
yeah,
wasn't clear about that going in. It was only in having the experience that it became clear, like, ooh, like that actually didn't feel good at all.
what you're speaking to here is such an essential point for you being as open and loving and sharing as you are in the world. You're able to be that way because of your level of discernment.
Yes, yes. Thank you for reflecting that. Like I don't think about it like that. I'm not like, okay, I'm being discerning, but like I do that body barometer thing. And I mean I think the reason why people feel also like they can be vulnerable with me on the platform or is because the space is set so intentionally. Like every single time. It's why are we here? What are we doing together? Let's honor each other in our open-heartedness, and let's show up in that place together. And yeah, we are very discerning about who we extend that invitation to.
Okay,
And
so hold on. So we just linked back again to ritual. So
yeah,
not just you in ritual with yourself, but you in ritual demarcating the space
yes,
with another brings a certain sanctity to the exchange. I mean, in a way, that's your discernment. That's you enacting a crucible,
yes,
so that the exchange can be held right in a way that enables a certain outcome. Okay, so you're answering all my questions. Like this is how this ritual trickles into the different levels of your life, your business, and
yes,
all of that.
yes,
So this is really an essential point here. You are a leader of, you're in a leadership position. I'm not even going to use feminine leadership, though I think you exhibit very specific qualities of femininity in your leadership. You also have a very strong masculine, which to me is this level of discernment, is this visionary capacity that, yes, can stay connected to the immediacy of what's happening, but also see the long-term farther fetch of where things are headed. To me, this is the perfect entry point in you speaking to this leadership question and how these different parts of you are expressing, and maybe in now times or in the upcoming year evenly, how these qualities are going to be called forth even more.
it's really interesting because I have hesitated to associate myself, just like I don't call myself a single mom. I also don't call myself a feminine leader, although of course I'm a woman, and yes, I am divorced and have children, but there's certain connotations with it that I haven't wanted to, I guess, lean into, like, because I'm always viewing myself as a human first. Like, I'm a human, I'm all of it, and not wanting to define myself either way, like, and get associated with that image of whatever that means,
Yes.
So what has happened for me over the years, I've experimented because I love experimenting. especially in the capacity of my company. And I actually don't use the word business very much either, because for me, the word business is just busyness. And company is like, okay, we're in company together. We're in community together. We're doing this, and it feels better to me. I haven't found the actual like great alternative to business though. I'm working on that. What I have done is, so I went from a very young experience in New York where I was completely in my yang, but completely in my masculine in terms of the way that I was facilitating my work. Then I moved to Hawaii and I experimented with being completely in my yin and really just kind of holding a space and playing with the idea of magnetizing people to me and magnetizing the world to me. Neither one of them entirely worked on their own. And so what I feel now has been able to happen is a real merging of both and calling upon the aspect of myself that feels the most appropriate in the moment, and continually threading both through everything that I do. So to me, showing up and creating a ritual space before I do a podcast is bringing in that very feminine aspect of myself. Then executing on getting that thing, delegating to the team and making sure it all gets posted and we're meeting our goals and we're showing up every week. That's where I can pull in that more young, sort of disciplined aspect of myself. And I have really come to peace with the truth that both are so necessary, that both have so many gifts, that both absolutely have pitfalls, both have their sort of less mature expressions, but both are essential. And I love that I've gotten to experience that within myself, because I feel like I can stand in the truth with anyone and say, we are all necessary. Like like we are all necessary. It isn't that we need women charging the way or we need men charging the way, or we need both of us. Like we really need both of us to be showing up. And when we do that, it's both more enjoyable and it's more impactful. And I think ultimately more successful, but redefining the word success to me, not just monetarily, but also for the soul and also for that part of us that yearns to serve and share and contribute. So I think that, both the process of doing it in a way that feels more balanced and the end result in a way that feels more holistic in its expression and what it's holding. It's not just about the profit. It's not just about the bottom line, but it's also not just about expression. It's not just about beingness. Like it's both. So does that answer your question?
Totally answers it. Okay, now we're going to go next level, because I know you just hosted a forecast event for the next year. So from your vantage point, how do you see leadership evolving or changing, or based on the influx or the influence of consciousness as it is presenting through astrology in the next time?
We are absolutely in. I mean, we're seeing the transition that we're in as humanity happening in every avenue, right? In every outlet of life. And within entrepreneurship, it's no different. And within the way that we show up for our community or audience, it's no different. We are like absolutely in a changing tide and riding with it, adaptability and flexibility and really listening to the people that you're serving, really listening to it, whatever it is, your mission and what it's wanting to become in that moment is essential. And so what I'm finding is that the old ways of doing things are absolutely falling away. We are absolutely in a transitional period. It's really important to quote unquote stay bouncy, like a tennis player. I played tennis in high school, and so like that image of like, okay, I'm ready for the serve. Is it going to come to the right? Is it going to come to the left? is really essential. And
So hold on.
yeah,
Part of what I'm hearing from you again is relational, staying
yeah,
in relationship. Like even our mission is its own consciousness
oh yeah,
versus having an agenda and executing an agenda, maybe non-relationally or acknowledging the interconnectivity of what's emerging.
completely. We have a plan. We always have a 1-year plan. We have a 5-year plan. We have a 10-year plan. And within that word relational, that to me is the most important word, or the most important orientation in how we're conducting our lives, especially as it relates to business or entrepreneurship or service. Viewing the people that you're engaged with, you are in a very intimate dialogue and relationship with those people, whether it's one person or 100,000 people. It is a dialogue. It is a relationship. That doesn't mean you can make everybody happy. It doesn't mean that everybody's always going to love you or your ideas or what you're doing, but that back and forth. I got a really great compliment actually at a conference in Colorado that I went to earlier this year. Someone from our audience said, you send out surveys all the time. And what it shows me is that you are listening and that you care and that you want to hear. Like, of course, I do. Like, I wish I could hear from you every single day because we're here to serve you. Like, we're doing this for us. We're doing it for its own soul's expression. And when I say it, I mean, I absolutely think of Astrology Hub as a soul. Like it is an entity that has its own mission. And every project we do has its own mission, its own resonance, its own intention. And I know that might sound really far out to some people, but to me, it's such a truth in the way that I do everything within the company.
Okay, I want to refine this even further because I feel like even the nature of relationship is changing. Relationship at this point does not mean codependency. And so this threads back to part of our earlier conversation. In order to truly relate, we have to have an integral core. We have to have a level of knowing who we are and knowing ourselves. And then from that place of relative wholeness or fullness, then we can actually relate with a mission, with another person, with groups of people. So, whereas I think our parents and their parents and generations back came more from relationship that was built on comfort, convenience, survival, codependency, less two individuated beings coming together to create something maybe that's a new paradigm. Do you want to speak to this a little bit from your own experience and then maybe, about where we're going?
Yeah. Again, the last few years have really helped me refine that core and really get clear on what I'm willing to hold space for and what I'm not willing to hold space for. And it was only through several very challenging leadership crucibles that I was able to get more clear about that. And one, there's a clarity of like, yes, this is what we are willing to do. And this is what we're not willing to do and what we're not willing to endure. And a lot of times that can be, maybe people being very disrespectful to one of our astrologers who, is on the podcast and, saying very mean and hateful things to that person. It's like, well, you know what? We're not holding space for that. Like that's not what we're doing here. We're building people up. We're unifying people. We're not here to tear each other down. We're here to unify in a place that is beyond the ebbs and flows of personal opinion. Like we're unifying in the place of our shared humanity. And I can hold space for that. I feel really great about that. And I don't feel great about holding space for like, let's fight about every single issue that we could possibly disagree on. Like, that's just not interesting to me. It doesn't inspire me. I don't want to facilitate that. And so just getting really clear on what do I want to facilitate? I want to enjoy my work. I want my work to be an expression of that joy, so that when you come into that field, you can feel joy too. Like, that's way more fun. And I know that doesn't mean that we're not going to go into some tricky waters. It doesn't mean that we're not going to explore things. It doesn't mean, but we're going to explore them with respect. We're going to explore them with honor for each other. And that is so important to me, because we can go into really crazy places. And as long as we respect each other, as long as we honor each other as humans first, it doesn't matter, because at the end of it, we can hug and say, let's agree to disagree. Like, I still love you. I still honor you, and so that again, I guess it's discernment, but it hasn't come with me just like sitting down and being like, what do I hold space for? It's actually come through challenge. It's actually come through like grit. It's come through a lot of tears and hard times where there's like this really intense pressure. And then the clarity comes. And I know I've even been in some of those moments, and you've helped me. I often turn to my support network of people that I know who get me and see me and understand me to help work through these different things that come up.
Amanda, one of the touchstone references of you, where I know how deeply you are sovereign and how you hold that for others, came through supporting you through something which really defined deeper your stance in Astrology Hub is simply informing. You're not taking stances, you're not for certain causes, you are informing people to make their own sovereign decisions and choices from that place. And that there are times that I watched you work through this pretty intensely. You holding your community in that way empowers them in a way, that is this kind of relationship that you're speaking to.
This has been a process, what you just said. I have always been a leader, whether I wanted to or not. And when I was younger, I resisted it. And on the Big Island, I actually had a past life regression experience where I got to understand why I resisted it. Can I tell the story real quick?
Please, yes.
Okay. So in this past life regression, I was some sort of high ranking soldier, and I was on a battlefield, and everyone around me was dead. And I was on one knee about to take my own life, because it was such a shameful thing I couldn't live, right? And in this moment. And so I was about to take my life. And the last thought I had was, I led them the wrong way. I took my life in this memory, or whatever it is, this DNA remembrance. And then I was able to experience after that moment. And there was so much forgiveness, so much compassion. I was able to look at that battlefield and just see the folly of humanity and hold it all in my heart with so much compassion. That was amazing. But so in that, after having that memory or experience, I realized why I resisted, because I had led in that lifetime, I had led everybody the wrong way. And I don't know what the wrong way meant, but it was the wrong way. So in this lifetime, it is so important to me to use my leadership responsibly. And to me, that means continually referencing people back to themselves. Continually, like, you have the answer. It's within you. I have my own truth, my own path, my own experience. I am not here to tell you what to do, how to think, where to go. And there's so much, again, this is, what am I willing to hold space for? I am very willing to hold space for your discovery, for your realization, for your remembrance of who you are. I am not willing to hold space for me telling you what that is. That feels irresponsible. So it's for me in this lifetime, in this moment. And that, again, in the last few years, it's been this like real leadership crucible of what are you here to do and what are you not here to do? And for me, it's always leading people back to themselves, back to the truth, back to love, back to their own power, back to their own compass and their own design. That feels really good. I can go to sleep at night knowing that that's what I'm doing. Anything else feels like dangerous waters that I've been in before, in probably many lifetimes, and I'm just not willing to do it this time. So it's that level of clarity again has come through those moments of, wow, like, where do I want to stand on this? Where do I feel is my kuleana, my responsibility, my joy? And astrology just gives me that ability to have that conversation every single day. Like, because it is it's literally the design of that. The design of that truth is written in your own chart, is written in the stars, quote unquote. And so it's, to continually bring people back to their blueprint. It's like, yes, I can get behind that. That feels right for me in this lifetime. And there's no judgment on other people doing leadership in a different way, because I know we're all in different places of our own discovery of ourselves.
Yes, other people doing leadership in a different way. And part of what you're speaking to, too, is also a transition in consciousness, which is we're moving from a more hierarchical history into a more inclusive, holarchic now time. And so again, I'm going to give you a little bit of a nudge to just speak through the lens of leadership, forecasting the flavor of leadership for the next year. And thank you so much for that story. There's so much energy and power and transmission in your story and your being with leadership. So it's such a joy to witness you, not just in the world, but on a more personal level too, how this is being lived.
Yeah. It's, so I'll answer your question. We're moving from that age of Pisces where it's like the guru, the priest, the teacher, the authority, the government, the doctor, the whoever, like outside of ourselves, being the one who has the answers, to the age of Aquarius, humanity. This is us understanding our union with God, that it's not outside of us, that this is within us completely. And we're in that transitional period. And, Kate, I always shy away from being a quote unquote teacher because I'd rather just show, like, I'd rather show than tell. Like, I'd rather just live it, and let the living of it be the expression of any sort of teaching. But I also know people have different blueprints. There are people that are masterful teachers, and I'm like, wow, it's amazing how you can break that down. I actually don't feel like I can really do that. I can just tell stories and do my thing and then just tell stories. So I think that, this shift into in the age of Aquarius is like, it's a long time. It's over 2,000 years. And we're at the very beginning of the birth canal. So this is not a quick thing. This is not just next year. This is our entire lifetime and our children's lifetimes. And, this is going to take time to continually, roll out. And there's also a less mature expression that could absolutely happen for our humanity, which is to put our power more and more and more and more outside of ourselves. And so the invitation, I'm always aware of the invitation of the energy. It's not, we're choosing how we're going to engage with the energy. And we can continue to put our power more even into artificial intelligence, and just like, and I'm not saying anything's wrong with artificial intelligence. I actually think there's going to be a place for it, but where is it coming from? What is informing it? And recognizing our own divinity and our own power, and sharing that spark with artificial intelligence, or that might be part of what happens. I don't know. But again, we're moving from this, the power's outside of me to the power is within me. That's the high invitation of it. Okay, so the power within me. And again, when we take time to bless the space or arrive in the space and receive the blessing that we start to inform through our own power the direction that things are unfolding. So as we're in this transition time, it's almost like we're building new mirror neuron. We're building new infrastructure inside and out, new pathways. I'm feeling that very deeply in my physical body and in my thoughts. Like it's happening. And I don't know if all of you can relate, but like there is a shift into a different frequency or level within our physical bodies that I truly see is happening, at least in myself. And I'm having to meet it at different levels. I'm having to, like I was saying earlier, I'm having to commit to my own transformation through this process in new ways. I can't do it the way that I was doing it before. Yes. And because I'm your friend, I just have to expose you right here. You don't just sit around and tell stories all day. You are not afraid to roll your sleeves up and get your hands dirty. I remember when I met you, a decade ago, and I had some health issues going on, and you gave me my first colonics. I would come over to your house every couple of days. You're like sleeves rolled up in the bathroom with me, giving me colonics. So you may be a pretty face, but you are not afraid to get down and dirty with what needs to be addressed. And I so appreciate this about you. I need to be, that's like, it's where all of the gifts are. It's the treasures are there, and in this like excavation process that happens on a physical level, it happens on an emotional level, it happens on a spiritual level. And there's so many gifts in that. And I cannot believe you just told everyone I gave you a colonic. Several, I think. Several. Oh my God. Yeah. To me, it's like, let's just get the stuff out. Let's do it. And it was so fun. It was because everything you do is fun. It's because you approach it with that curiosity. Everything is an adventure. We share that. Yes, absolutely. Oh my God. Anything else you want to say in conclusion? I mean, this is so rich, and at the core of it, it's continually threaded with this internal reference to ritual space. And as I know you, this is how you live. Yeah. I mean, again, like to me, it's make it your own. Like for me, it's engaging all the senses as much as possible. Whenever I can have a scent that goes along with the ritual space, something visual that goes along with the ritual space, even a ritual bath to help me get in the space. It's something that it's fun. Like I have fun with it, like even with my girls, I'm right now for me redefining, we're around the holidays. So it's like redefining Christmas and like, what does it actually mean to me? And so much for me is it's the solstice, and the solstice is the light in the darkness. And so I'm so enjoying bringing in like all the different visual cues and sounds and sights and smells for them to have that rhythmic remembrance every year when they get to this time, to continue to remember that light inside of them, even when it's really dark. This is when the evergreen tree comes in the house. The evergreen is, what is the evergreen? It's a symbol of strength. It never loses its leaves, even the harshest of winters. It stands strong and true and firm in who it is. And that's why we bring it in the house. We don't just bring a pretty Christmas tree in. We bring it in because it's a symbol to us. It reminds us of who we are. And what do? We string it with lights. Why? And why a star at the top? Because That's the North Star. That's our guiding light. And those lights around the tree, those are stars, and they're always spiraling around the North Star. So it's just bringing things alive in a new way. And I don't even know how I got on that tangent, but
it was so exquisite. Yes. Thank you.
But it's the ritual, it's I even have my little tree here that just, what is the symbol of this, and I have it on my desk because we just launched a new project, and it feels like that fledgling little evergreen tree. It has so much potential, and it is going to be a beacon of strength for so many people, but it's a baby. So it needs to be like nourished and held like a baby right now.
Okay. Tell us about this project, because it's super exciting. Yeah. And it's another level of service to already a huge platform that's bringing so much to so many people.
So my entree into astrology was my first reading. It was you sitting in Natasha Alter's kitchen with tears streaming down my face as this perfect stranger spoke directly to my soul in a way that I couldn't even do, but that I knew was true. It was just confirmation of things I couldn't even verbalize. That was the moment that I went, oh my God, what's this astrology thing? I had always written it off. And I was like, there's something here. Like, that was amazing. That was incredible and so helpful and insightful, like way more helpful and insightful for me than therapy or any other sort of modality has ever been. So it was my first entree into astrology, but really it was my first entree into God. I had 13 years of Catholic school. I did world religions. I did all these different things to try to find some evidence of something bigger than myself that I could like feel. And I never really did with all those other avenues. And this was the first time I stood in her kitchen and said, this is my first evidence of God. Because if you can look at a circle and squirrely lines and know that about me, just from my birth time and location, there is an intelligence that is beyond anything I could possibly imagine at play here. And so to offer that gift to people, that gift of the first reading. See, the thing is, it can go wrong too. There's people who have had astrology readings by unskilled astrologers that can hurt. With great power comes great responsibility. So what I have felt so passionate about doing is creating a platform that connects people that are curious with the best astrologers to have very high quality astrology readings, the kinds that make you remember who you are and answer like the million different questions that astrology can answer. So we've launched this new platform, and it's still a baby. It's basically still in like a pilot phase, and it's only available to a small amount of people because we're still testing it. The technology behind this is monstrous, like, whoa. But that's what it is. That's what this little baby fledgling evergreen is, because I see it spreading light all around the world. And really, at some point, I'd love to have all languages represented on this platform so that people all over the world can come and unite in the beauty of the fact that we all live under the same sky, and the stars are broadcasting truth and direction and guidance for all of us. And all of that's within us too.
I love your vision. I love this project. And I love how skilled you are at making the really big things tangible and possible for so many people. Yeah.
That's the joy. Like that to me is the most fun, is taking an idea and making it real and then having it impact people's lives. It's like, whoa, that's amazing. That's like creation itself. It is so exciting.
Oh, Amanda, I miss you.
Why are you so far away?
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today. And what a gift for me to share you with my audience. And just expose this new platform. And I can't believe like we get a sneak preview. Like it's not even open yet to the rest of the world. This is so amazing.
I'm happy to make it available to anybody in your audience who's like, ooh, I would love a reading. Don't tell anybody yet, but you all can, as a gift to you, if you're interested to check it out. you go to astrologyhub.com/astrologerconnect.
Awesome. And we'll put all this in the notes as well. So,
Awesome. Yay.
ah,
Oh, this has been so fun. Can we do it all the time?
yes.
Thank you. And it's been really amazing to feel your audience as well, and just to feel connected. And I'm really grateful that all of our paths have crossed in this way. It's
Yeah,
such a
you are connected, Amanda, in more ways than you realize, because from my vantage point, you are living. You are, living Tantra is simply being available to life as it is and living the full spectrum of our being through our humanity. And you are a living example of this.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you. So
all right. Thank you all for joining us today. And we'll have all Amanda's information in the notes below, and we'll see you next time.